All right, I'll go ahead and call this meeting to order. Welcome everybody to this meeting of the Northern Middlesex Metropolitan Planning Organization. We'll go ahead and get started. Our first item on the agenda is welcome and introductions. So typically, Paul, if you want to read the roll or have someone on staff read the roll of members present, we'll start with that. And then I know we have some staff introductions as well. So could
All right, sure.
Lead into that. Yep.
I can read the roll. Monica Tibbetts-Nutt, Acting Secretary of Transportation and MassDOT CEO.
Yep, Derek Rabat here representing Acting Secretary Monica Tibbetts-Nutt.
All right, Jonathan Gulliver, MassDOT Highway Administrator.
Hi, Brian Fallon representing Jonathan Gulliver, Highway Administrator.
All right, and Andrew, forgive me if I mispronounce your name, please correct me, but Andrew Delorier, NMCOG Chair.
All points, I'm here.
Pat Wojcik, NMCOG MPO Representative. Not here yet.
I see Pat, yeah. Yep.
Tom Baumel, LRTA Board Chair. Let's see, I think I see Karen in the waiting room. Oh, there we go. Karen Pulio, LRT representative from Community Outside Bowl.
Present.
Thanks, Karen. Forgive me if I mispronounce your name. Please correct me. It's my first meeting. And Dan Rourke, NMCOG counselor and MPO representative from the city of Lowell. All right, so I think we do have quorum with Andrew and Karen here. That's good.
Okay, excellent. Welcome everybody. And I know, Paul, like you mentioned, it is your first meeting. I don't know if you want to give folks a quick introduction to yourself or any other staffing updates as well.
Yeah, I think folks met Austin and Blake at our last meeting. So I think it's just me who's new right now. I apologize if my video is going on and off. There it is. So I just wanted to introduce myself. I've met some of you. My name is Paul Christner. I'm the new Transportation Planning Program Manager here at NMCOG. I was previously at the Boston NPO, so I've worked with a few of you in that capacity, Derek and Derek. And I've met a few people in the month that I've been here. For those of you I haven't met, I'm excited to meet you and to get started working on the various things that we have to do up here in the Greater Lowell region. And if you have any questions or would like to just chat with me, feel free to reach out if I haven't reached out to you yet.
Great, thanks, Paul. Yeah, and welcome. Great to have you on board. With that, we can move into our next agenda item. And if someone wants to share the agenda on screen, that might be helpful as well.
Yeah, I'll do that. Sorry.
No worries. Great, thank you. So the next item is the approval of the August 23rd NMMPO meeting minutes. Ask for a motion and second to approve the August minutes.
So moved if we can.
A second, Karen Pulio.
All right, motion having been made and seconded. Are there any comments or questions on the minutes? All right, seeing none, you can call the roll, Paul.
Derek Cravat, MassDOT.
Yes.
Brian Fallon, MassDOT.
I'll abstain. I was not at the meeting.
Andrew Delorier, NMCOG Chair.
Yes.
And Karen Pulio, LRT representative from a Community Outside Bowl.
Yes.
All right.
Okay. All right. Thanks, everyone. We'll move on to our next item, which is status report of Transportation Improvement Program projects under design and construction. Turn it over to Brian. Or Tim.
I'll take
Tim,
that.
sorry. Yep.
No problem.
Go ahead, Tim.
Tim,
Yep.
Tim Paris, District 4 planner. We've got quite a few changes this month. 613-562. This is a new project. Tewksbury improvements at Shawshene Road, Foster Road, Patton Road, and Beach Street. It's estimated at roughly $3 million. And new to the list. Then we have 613-213, Bedford, Billerica, Chelmsford, Tingsboro Bridge preservation of 41 bridges in the Route 3 corridor. That has got a date for funding and roughly $10 million set aside for that. 612-977, Chelmsford Final Square safety improvements. That's been added to 2028 on the tip with 6.68 million for that. 631, Chelmsford Bridge replacement, Gorham Street over 495, and replacement of Westford Street over 495. That has the new tip cost of 44 million. 612-609, Tewksbury intersection improvements at Main Street, Pleasant Street, and North Street and East Street. That has a new tip cost of $4,694,000. Go to the next page. 612-096, Westford interstate maintenance and related work on 495. New tip cost of $5.7 million. 610-719, Burlington to Tingsboro pavement preservation on Route 3. That has a slight reduction of the tip cost down to $17.5 million. 608-816, Lowell Drake at Methuen resurfacing related work on Route 110. That has a new tip cost, $18 million. 609-510, Drake improvements at George Inglesby Elementary School. It's a Safe Routes to School project. That is now on the tip in 2025 for $1.16 million. 604-694, Lowell Connector reconstruction from Thorndike Street to Gorham Street. That's been added on at 2028 at $6.5 million. 607-401, Chelmsford traffic signal installation at Route 110 and 495, 2 locations. That we have a new cost of $1.26 million. 607-887, Lowell Rourke Bridge replacement, Wood Street extension over Boston and Maine Railroad and the Merrimack River. A new tip cost down a little bit from $175 million to $169 million. 609-317, that change in the tip cost to $11.8 million. And we've got a new project manager. It's been assigned to Jonathan Freeman. 608-227, Billerica Yankee Doodle Bike Path Construction Phase 1. New tip cost of $15.8 million. 609-250, Billerica intersection improvements at Boston Road, Lexington Street, and Glad Valley Road. That's been added to the tip in 2025, moved from 2026. And it's roughly $5.5 million. 609-035, Westford rehabilitation of Boston Road. Slight change of that one in the cost on the tip, $10.2 million. 605-966, Lowell reconstruction related work on VFW Highway. That has some minor changes to the costs for the tip and the estimate, the project estimate. 608-774, Lowell Tewksbury Route 38 intersection improvements. We have some changes there on the construction cost estimate. And nothing on the remaining pages.
Great. Thank you, Tim.
No
Any
problem.
questions for Tim? Right. Don't see any. Derek Schuster, I know, had a quick comment on one of the Chelmsford projects.
Yeah, thanks, Derek. I actually had a couple remarks
Yeah.
just to give a little context to Tim's project list. So obviously the tip cost doesn't just change without unless an MPO action takes place. Since we've last met, the Commonwealth of Massachusetts received STIP approval from our federal partners on the 2024 to 2028 STIP, which includes the 24 to 28 Northern Middlesex MPO tip that you endorsed earlier this calendar year. So the tip cost changes on this sheet are updated to reflect that approval and that the new federal fiscal year 2024 began this month. The second thing I wanted to note, though, the first project on this with a tip cost change 613213, that is an interregional project. So we call it statewide in the STIP, but because the town of Bedford is in the Boston MPO region and the other projects along the corridor in the Northern Middlesex region, MassDOT has historically advanced those project types as a statewide project. Due to a corrective action from Federal Highway and FTA, we will need to actually amend these onto the Northern Middlesex and Boston MPO tips before they can proceed with advertisement. And we are waiting until they are further along in design to perform it as a single action. I just wanted to highlight that and any other projects that might skirt between Northern Middlesex region and Merrimack Valley or Boston or Montechusett, any of your abutting regions. Those changes will be queued up throughout the year. I'm happy to answer any questions on that before we continue. Thank you.
Thanks, Schuster. Any questions on that? And yeah, to NMCOG staff, we'll let you know projects that fall in that category as they come up, and we'll be sure to line those actions up.
Actually,
As
just a
we
quick
get to-
question on that. I'm
Yeah,
sorry.
go ahead.
Is that, your explanation was clear, Derek. I'm just wondering in terms of the impact of other projects that are wholly within this one MPO, does it move it ahead, behind? Or does it change any of that ordering, or is it sort of moves independently of this current, for lack of a better term, ranking?
It shouldn't affect the project advertisement timeline or the program year unless the change that we're making is not only the region but the funding makeup and whether or
Sure.
not it's fiscally constrained or if it's not ready to deliver in a certain year. But for now, that project, for example, we believe to be on track for an advertisement this fiscal year. It just needs to procedurally go through the process of being presented for 21-day public comment by the MPOs it touches and get a formal endorsement by each region. So
Okay.
again, we'll keep you posted as we get further along in the design for that project. I think there's two others this fiscal year that affect the Northern Middlesex region. I know there were some across all of the years that as we get further detail from our district partners on which municipalities these touch, we're going to have further direction on, okay, which MPOs need to go through this process. So we'll keep you
Sure.
posted.
I appreciate that. It's just, maybe it's naivete on my part, but just understanding that if this is a Jenga or is it a different board game in terms of how things advance.
It's always a Jenga. We're just spray painting the blocks different colors, but we're not affecting the structural integrity of the Jenga tower.
Points for you for the most accurate description.
Yeah.
Thanks, Dr.
Thanks, Schuster. Yep, and thanks, Andrew. Appreciate that. Any other questions? All right. Sarah, did you have any District 3 updates, or are you okay?
I'm okay. I think they were covered. Tim covered them. Thanks.
Okay, excellent. Sounds good. All right, with that, we'll move on to agenda item 4, which is opportunity for any public comments. Does anyone have a comment they'd like to make at this time? All right, don't see any. If you do have a comment at any point during the meeting, you can use the raise hand function in Zoom or use the chat, and we'll be sure to call on you. Move on to the next item on updates on MPO activities. I believe this was Paul, so hand it over to Paul.
Yeah, thanks, Derek. Just a quick note before I turn it over to Austin and Jessica. Blake is feeling a little bit under the weather today, and his voice is not 100%. So we were going to postpone the third bullet there, the transit planning, to the next meeting. He may be sitting in listening, but he didn't feel up to talking yet. With that, we're going to do an update on our traffic counting and SS4A contract, with Austin going first, and then Jessica.
Thank you, Paul. I'm assuming everyone can hear me. Sorry, I was having some technical difficulties earlier.
Yep, we can hear you.
Awesome, thank you. For those of you who I have not already met, my name is Austin Torres Davis. I started here with NMCOG back mid-August, and I'm happy to be here. Among other things, I've picked up this year's traffic counting program, so I just wanted to provide some status updates on that. Counts for the 2023 traffic counting season took place over the months of July, August, September, and now October. These counts are both for our NMCOG member communities, as well as some that are requested by MassDOT. So as of today, we've received 58 counts out of a total of 76 for this season. These are being conducted this year by a contractor, Southern Traffic Services, STS for short. And so the remaining counts for this season are scheduled for October, and they're actually taking place as we speak this week, going from the 23rd through the 27th. Our contract with STS ends at the end of November, November 30th. So between now and then, we will be working together to fix any errors in the counts. Sometimes counters actually need to be reset for whatever reason, being sort of ripped up. So these will get eventually uploaded into a transportation data management system. Thereafter, we could use this data to inform reports, provide general assistance to our member communities, and generally just compile that data over the years. So that was really the biggest update, is that we should have all 76 counts by the end of this week. And thereafter, we'll know if any need edits or to be recounted.
Great. Thanks, Austin. Any questions for Austin on that? Right. Don't see any, so thanks for the update, Austin. Appreciate it. Can move to SS4A contract.
Hi, everyone. My name is Jessica Belanger. I'm a transportation mobility specialist with NMCOG, and I'll be providing an update on the Safe Streets and Roads for All grant. NMCOG was one of 10 regional planning agencies across the Commonwealth of Massachusetts that was awarded funds under the bipartisan infrastructure law under the Safe Streets and Roads for All grant program. This program was a funds match with MassDOT and also Federal Highway. I'm excited to share that we now have a fully executed contract with WSP. They're the consultant that will be working directly with us to help us develop a regional safety action plan for our Greater Lowell Vision Zero. WSP is one of the world's leading professional services firms. They're a global leader in transportation solutions, and they played a meaningful role in the Vision Zero revolution. And they work to develop plans in places like Sweden, Canada, New Zealand, and the US. The Swedish government was the first government to actually adopt a Vision Zero plan. So we're really excited to be working with them. Currently, we are at the stage where we're now hosting kickoff meetings. We held our first Vision Zero Advisory Committee meeting last week. And we will continue to hold those meetings throughout the duration of the planning process. Information about the advisory committee can be found on our website. And I'll also share that going forward, I'll continue to update the MPO on our planning process. There will be several opportunities for public participation and also participation and comments from the MPO members. If you have any questions on the planning process, please don't hesitate to reach out to me directly. And that concludes my presentation. Thank you.
Great, thank you, Jessica. Any questions for Jessica? All right, seeing none. Excited to hear the SS4A work is off the ground and looking forward to hearing next steps there. We'll move on to the update on the 2020 census urbanized area work. Believe we have some folks on from MassDOT's planning and GIS services group. Just looking to see who's on the meeting.
Charlotte.
Yeah.
I see. Okay, yeah, that's because it's labeled DOT teams. I see Charlotte here now. So, Paul, did you want to give an intro?
Do we need to let anyone else share the screen?
Yes, that would be great if you could. So I'm joined from my computer as Charlotte Mays. So yeah, I can share the boundaries if you'd like.
All right. So I need to stop, right?
I think so. Yep. Yep.
And then Jessica, maybe you can help me out. Who are we sharing with? Let's see.
Charlotte Mays.
Yep. Charlotte Mays. Yep.
There it is. All right, what's it? Do I need to make someone a co-host? I apologize.
Yes, Charlotte Mays is
There it
on.
is.
And
All right.
yep.
Okay,
Yep.
found it.
Okay.
Charlotte, you should be able to screen share. Let us know if you have any trouble.
Okay, let me. That's weird. The window that I want to share on my virtual machine is not. Oh, there we go. I found it. Okay, so yep. So many of you should have seen this already. We sent some maps in our web map of the expanded urban boundaries to the MPOs. So just for reference, the screen is our attempt at our draft of the expanded urban boundaries. And so our methodology was to take the 2010 expanded urban boundaries, which is in the pink, and then to layer on top of that the 2020 census urban areas, and then we just expanded out from the 2010 areas where the census had kind of grown in 2020. So we didn't want to like retract anything from 2010, but since this is just a draft, we certainly can. But so yeah, that was just our methodology. And we expanded out to the nearest feature, which in most cases was a roadway, but it could have been a river or a railway. So yes, I can take any questions if anyone has anything.
Thanks, Charlotte. And I'll just add for context, as part of the 2020 census update, they provided new data on where there are urbanized area populations, and these have the definitions actually changed. So it's like places with higher population density, places with population changes that would be considered urbanized for the purposes of categorizing within the U.S. Census. So every 10 years this is updated. We're just getting the new data now from the 2020 census. So that's what Charlotte is showing here in processing this. There's a process with the Federal Highway Administration where they ask us to work with all of the MPOs, a coordinated effort between the state DOT and the MPOs and municipalities to essentially kind of ground truth or fact check the data that they've provided us and get back to them if we have any proposed changes. So we've made this data available to all the MPOs. And if there are changes, if you'd like to see changes in the boundaries of what's considered urbanized, or if there are things like development happening that you think might increase population in areas that aren't considered urbanized, things like that, that's all information that we're looking for within the next month or so, so our GIS team can properly respond to our federal agencies on what our new data will be. And, you know, there are, of course, implications for what it means to be urbanized, right? We have different funding formulas. We're not anticipating any drastic changes in the amount of funding resulting from changes in the urbanized areas, but nonetheless, we do use that for different things and roadway classifications and, you know, what you might be eligible for under federal grants if you're considered rural versus urban, those kinds of things. So all implications related to this whole process. So yeah, I'll pause there. I just wanted to provide some of that context. But are there any questions?
Derek, is there a deadline for feedback? If folks have feedback on this, you mentioned in the next month or so?
Yeah, so we've asked for feedback from planning agency staff by November 3rd. So if there are changes by then, but then we've a lot of the time what will happen is planning commission staff will know or will already recommend changes kind of earlier on, but they'll want like an official endorsement from the MPO boards. So if there are changes though, you know, we are open to taking changes until I think the end of November, but if you know of changes that you're likely going to be proposing, we'd like those earlier on because Charlotte and her team have a lot of processing to do of the data and quite a bit of work before the final deadline, which is the end of the calendar year. So if there are changes, we've asked that for November, but if there are municipalities that would like to request changes, we're accepting those throughout November. So Paul, we can kind of work with you, sort of make sure you have this data, and if there's anyone that might have changes, we'll be sure to document that. And yeah, I'd say many regions don't have changes, especially in Eastern Massachusetts, right? Unless I'm missing something, Charlotte, there's not significant changes with respect to these categories, but nonetheless, good to review this
Especially since a lot of the Eastern Massachusetts was already mostly urban, so.
Right.
Yeah, exactly.
Yep. So nonetheless, just giving this due diligence since it is in the regulations that we all coordinate on this process and update. So, okay. Well, I don't see any questions. So thank you, Charlotte. Appreciate the update there.
Thank you.
Yep. We can move back to our normal agenda. And while screen sharing kind of transfers there, I'll just read out the next agenda item, which I think is just other business. Is there any other business? I know, Paul, we had a note on the next meeting date. You wanted to
Yeah, I
provide
just wanted to note that we are, because of the Thanksgiving holiday, we typically have it on the fourth Wednesday, which would fall in the afternoon right before Thanksgiving. So we are pushing it a week later to November 29th at 2 p.m. I think I've reached out to MPO board members via phone or email, but I'll reach out again just to confirm that as we get closer. But it seemed to make sense to do that. And then the second thing, just a reminder, I think folks probably know about this, but our office move date is December 1, so it'll be right after that MPO meeting just a few days later. So we're still in Lowell, but just moving to a different location.
Got it. Thanks, Paul. And where is the new address?
I think it's 672 Suffolk Street. Correct me if I'm wrong.
That's
any
right.
folks, but
Great. Okay. Sounds good. Well, best of luck with the move as it goes on. I know it's a lot of work.
Thank you.
All right. Do any other members have any other business that they'd like to mention? All right. Seeing none. So November 29th, mark your calendars, which is a change from our normal meeting time. So just heads up there. With that, we can do adjournment, I think, by voice vote. So I'll ask for a motion and second to adjourn.
So moved.
Second.
All right. Motion having been made and seconded. All in favor, say aye.
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 Any opposed? Any abstentions? All right. Without objection, we're adjourned. So thanks, everyone, and we'll see you at the end of November.
Thank you all.
Great rest of the
Thank you.
night. Thanks.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, everyone.